but had 7 walks in that game split. How about our Kia report?
Well, you take a look at the Kia report. He has been getting better if you look at the ERA, although slowly coming down. Has had luck against Chicago in the past, but lost to them on that last road trip. Got to get ahead in the count. No way about that. That helped set him up for the breaking ball.
Well, he'll see Chicago again, second time in about a week and a half. Our lineup for the White Sox brought to you by M&I Bank. Frank?
Well, A.J. Pierzynski slides up to the number 2 spot. Paul Konerko, number 4, leads Major Leagues with 14 home runs this season. Extra Mark Teahen will be in the number 7 spot.
All right, Mark Teahen in the 7th spot, and you also see Alex Rios batting 3rd tonight, and he should be happy to be going up against Gil Mesh. 583 lifetime against the Royals righty. We've got a perfect night for baseball here in Kansas City. It is the Royals and White Sox next on Fox Sports Kansas City. Is free with digital cable. Well, it is girls' night out at the ballpark. Obviously, a lot going on in the stands and on the field. We told you about the managerial change, also another coaching change to talk about, and the 4th member of our broadcast team tonight. Here's Nate Bukaty.
Guys, Ned Yost didn't take long to decide to make a move with the coaching staff. Dave Owen is out as the 3rd base coach, effective immediately. And he's replaced on the staff by Rusty Kuntz. Now, Rusty Kuntz, of course, was a member of the coaching staff a year ago and is now going to be the 1st base coach and work with the outfielders. Eddie Rodriguez will take over as the 3rd base coach. He was already on staff. Ned Yost wants him to focus on the infielders as well as a defensive coach. Guys, I'm a little disappointed that on Girls Night Out, I'm the only one with a pink tie on out of all of us.
Well, if Frank were out there, he'd be wearing a pink tie. No, he wouldn't.
Not even.
Split's kind of got a little bit of a pink tie. All right, Nate, stay safe out there. We know he will.
He's in the right crowd with that pink tie, that's for sure.
Yes, indeed. I was out there for a little bit of the pregame show, and it is entertaining out there. Juan Pierre steps in, takes strike 1. Well, a little bit of a coaching shakeup, other than the obvious big one as far as manager goes, and they'll get a little bit of energy and fire, a lot of fire from Ned Yost, and then more energy from Rusty Kuntz.
You know, I think about Rusty Kuntz. I think that is a heck of a loss for our minor league outfielders. He is wonderful working with the young kids, and he liked doing that. That's where he wanted to go.
Well, Paul, I think you hit it right on the head. I think the minor league players really learn a lot faster when you have the benefit of a guy who's been in the major leagues and really teaches with energy. And I think players really feed off of that. And like I say, there's not a bad day when Rusty's coaching.
That ball is going to go off the elbow of Juan Pierre. And the one thing you say, guys, about Juan Pierre is you got to keep him off the base paths. He's 17 for 21 in stolen bases on the year. Game time and temperature brought to you by the parking spot. Easy to spot, easy to park. The parking spot at KCI. 7:10 start, right on time. 65 degrees, a beautiful night at Kauffman Stadium. And now, Frank, Gil Mesh will need to contend with Juan Pierre on the base paths.
Well, Paul knows what it means to have a fast run on first, and really how you should sort of be 50-50 on your attention. But at some point, you got to get that guy at the plate. That's the guy you really want.
Quick out right there as A.J. Pierzynski, batting second tonight, flies out. And so that's a nice quick retaliation, if you will, for Gil Mesh. Now only needs to get a couple of outs as he contends with Pierre.
And that's not the at-bat that they want from A.J. Pierzynski. Now moved up to that number 2 spot. You want to give that guy on base a pitch, maybe a couple of them, to try to get a lead, maybe go ahead and swipe one and have the left-handed hitter move him over to third base. So Gil does a nice job of coming back there.
Well, I think you're right, Paul. And Michael Vilas has to learn that, too, on the Royal side, and working with Pasednik and knowing when he likes to run and just getting with him and say, you know, this pitcher tonight, do you think you go early in the count, late in the count? And that'll tell you whether or not you can swing early.
Well, a nice quick out on Pierzynski, but now the challenge for Mesh is dealing with a guy that has killed him throughout his career in Alex Rios. And Alex Rios, as he takes that curveball in there for a strike, 14 for 24 lifetime with 2 doubles and 2 triples. There's always somebody that owns you, right, Split?
Well, that was the best looking bat last week when this club was up in Chicago. Rios already had 5 RBIs in that 3-game set, and all of a sudden now you find him hitting number 3, and that's no big surprise.
I talked to hitting coach Greg Walker about him on our trip to U.S. Cellular Field, and he said he went back to his old style with the way he hit in Toronto before he came to the White Sox. When he came to the White Sox, his hands were up. They had his hands up, and he just dropped them back. And what that forces them to do is they got to come up to a hitting position.
Don't need to worry about Juan Pierre anymore as Gil Mesh erases him from first base with the pickoff move.
This is a point of emphasis in camp for the pitchers. All of them quickening up. He was going on that one. He got caught leaning and threw behind him.
Well, he got those legs trembling over there, and he probably had Gil on some type of a timing play where you say 1,001, 1,002 pitch, and thought he had him in a rhythm, but once you take that first step, it's too late.
Now the middle infielders, their legs are going to stop quivering.
And they should have been quivering because Juan Pierre is the American League leader in stolen bases at 17. He'll stay at 17 for now. And maybe more interesting is here's Gil Mesh hitting the leadoff man just barely in the elbow and having to contend with a little bit of trouble. He's only 9 pitches and potentially a 10, 11 pitch inning here.
Pierre got booed by their fans in Chicago last week when the club was up there, but doing a good job of getting on base here tonight.
And Gil Mesh gets him a 10-pitch first inning, the exact start he wanted. We're back after this.
Again, Caspo, Meyer, Bencourt, and Jason Kendall, first time in the 9th spot.
And with a manager that he is familiar with, as Jason Kendall used to play for Ned Yost, as did Scott Podsednik, but he is going to be first pitch swinging and out on the ground out. All right, Split. A familiar face on the other side. The Kia report on Mark Burley.
And don't let that ERA fool you. He's been a lot better than that number would tell you over his last 5 ball games. So he's had a club in a position to win a couple of those games. You talk about fielding your position. He may have closed out the Gold Glove with a spectacular play on opening day. He won his first one just last year.
Mike Avila steps in, shows bunt, and takes for a strike. He was telling me when we were in Chicago last week and a half ago, that there are other guys that have made plays like that. I just got a little more attention for it. I'm not so sure.
I've never seen it.
I've never seen it either.
Yeah, and be creative to get into foul territory and find a way to get that ball to Konerko.
Alexi Ramirez handles that, and Mark Burley, who always is working quickly has 2 outs.
You know, he's a guy you want to get somebody on base just to slow him down a little bit, break up the tempo and the rhythm that he might develop in a ball game.
You know, I was pointing out to him that, well, you're every guy in a getaway day's best friend because you pitch so quickly. And he said, it hasn't been quite that good for me this year as David DeJesus takes the strike. He said, you should have seen my game at Yankee Stadium. And I said, I'll blame that on the Yankees. But, you know, his last 4 games, he's had 3 of the 4 were 3 hours and over. You think of him having those quick 2-hour games all the time. Burley grew up on the other side of the state, just outside of St. Louis in St. Charles, Missouri. DeJesus sending that ball into the outfield, and a quick inning for Gil Mesh, and even quicker inning for Mark Burley, scoreless after 1. Lately has been saying pampering. There's plenty of pampering and chocolate and all kinds of fun out here at the ballpark, as it is the ladies enjoying themselves here at Kauffman Stadium. Royals taking on the White Sox. Great crowd here tonight. Had school day at the K yesterday and then ladies night tonight, and so it's nice to see some big crowds here at Kauffman Stadium. Paul Konerko going to step in and Split. You were just mentioning about some of the guys that were getting booed last week at U.S. Cellular Field. As far as I could tell, sitting down by the dugout last week, just about everybody, including all the White Sox, got booed except for Paul Konerko and Scott Podsednik on the Royals side.
Well, he is a big-time favorite because he has been a big-time run producer for them in his last year of a contract, so it's a big year for him. White Sox fans get a little bit edgy. They expected to be in contention from day one. Really hasn't worked out yet. They've really struggled offensively. They're last in the American League in batting average.
6 games under 500, and up on the north side, the Cubs are 5 games under 500. it's a good thing up in Chicago that they have the Blackhawks, because otherwise not going so well right now.
It's always a good thing they got the Hawks.
I know you like your hockey.
I love the Hawks.
Well, you grew up there, and you grew up building a love of hockey in Minnesota. And you know what else, talking about different sports other than baseball, guys, now that Ned Yost is here, he is a diehard NASCAR fan. You don't even need to do the NASCAR reports anymore. I mean, he can do them for Ryan.
He's got his hands full right now, but hey, maybe we can talk about it.
I'm sure that as the dust settles a little bit, we can talk about it. Right now, the focus is on Gil Mesh looking for his first win of the year, coming off of a complete game, and interesting to watch him tonight as he's coming off of a 128-pitch outing, and see how fresh he is. Billy Butler running into the dugout, and hey, guys, thanks for the help.
Well, the one thing they don't want is Billy coming head over heels over that rail. He'd be hard to hold back.
Willie Bloomquist, Brian Bannister, and company there to add the late assist. So what you're saying is you don't want him pulling the Carlos Pena that we saw in St. Petersburg.
Not if you're not ready.
And Rusty Kuntz bailing out of the area saying, hey, I'm the outfield coach.
No harm, no foul. Another foul ball there on the 96-mile-an-hour fastball. So the velocity, at least early on, is up following the 128 performance. Rusty, steer clear.
Yeah, you got to make sure the ball falls before you rush up there too quick, because I've seen guys do it and the ball hit him in the top of the head and nowhere near being caught. So you got to let the ball do its thing first and then hope you can save him once he goes over the rail.
Well, nice breaking ball there. Gets the ground ball and first out of the inning. Speaking of other sports, Chiefs offensive coordinator Charlie Weiss in the crown seats tonight, as he's the new Chiefs offensive coordinator, former head coach at Notre Dame.
Yeah, puts him in an offensive strategy from football to baseball away.
I was thinking before yesterday maybe the Royals could have used a little extra offensive help, but they finally opened up that offense yesterday.
Well, the intensity of those coaches are a little different than the intensity in baseball coaches. You know, when they get their guys, they got their guys. But baseball coaches aren't allowed really to really take your guys and show that type of intensity that they do in football.
Now, that intensity sometimes comes from the strength and conditioning coaches at this level.
Yeah, it really does. You talk about intensity, they have it. But both the football and the basketball guys are amazed at the way the baseball guys go at it every day, and the attitude and just the way everything is done. It's so much more casual and relaxed. And they walk into the ballpark and the clubhouse. I mean, they cannot believe it.
Well, when there's not all the yelling going on, they.
Well, Mark Kotze will gladly take a walk, would probably prefer a hit. He has one hit in his last 20 at-bats, but he is on base, and so for the second straight inning, the White Sox do have someone on base. Visit FoxSportsKansasCity.com to see interviews with your favorite Royals. Get to know Royal outfielder Scott Podsednik as part of our Profiles in Royalty series at FoxSportsKansasCity.com. I believe in that piece he talks about the best home run that he ever hit in his career, 2005 Game 2 walk-off home run in the World Series. Now Alexi Ramirez steps in there and over at shortstop, and part of a handful of Cubans that we have here in the house with Brian Pena, who is not playing, or at least starting tonight, and Unieski Betancourt. So two Cuban shortstops who grew up together.
Hey, Alexi really hadn't swung the bat as well since he's moved over to shortstop from second base. At second base, he's going to be an outstanding hitter, but he's got a long swing, and he chases that breaking ball down and away a lot. You can get up and in on his hands a lot too. So not a real patient hitter, and I think that hurts him a lot.
Good fastball hitter if it's up in the zone. He ran into one last week up in Chicago.
Oh, did he?
Now he's down 0-2 and just barely backs off of the breaking ball, and Gilmesh wondering if that was a strike split.
Well, he's got a veteran behind the plate, and Jason Kendall. Jason will take care of that with the home plate umpire. Let's see if that was a pitch he should have. Yeah, absolutely should have it. So I'm sure there's some conversation going on in a very professional way right now.
So you can always tell when it's unprofessional because the umpire will walk around in front.
And that, I believe, happened yesterday.
Yeah, it just happened yesterday. I saw it. Who was the catcher? I don't remember.
The catcher, it was Matt Trainer.
That's it.
Bob Davidson, I believe there was a balk. Alexei Ramirez deep to left field and hooking foul.
He almost got hurt on that breaking ball right there. That was kind of a hanger, just kind of rolling in the zone compared to the previous pitch. Tried to come back and repeat it and just kind of left it in the plate. So a little fortunate that ball went foul. But there's a curveball. They're trying to go for what they did previously. Left it in the middle of the plate. Back-to-back slow breaking balls. And Ramirez almost adjusted in time.
Well, he's got that long swing, and he's got that curveball swing. If you leave it, you got to get it away and down to make him reach a little bit.
Got him this time, swinging at 95 miles an hour. Second strikeout of the game for Gil Mesh.
Good combination, breaking ball down, now a fastball to four-seamer that might ride a little bit. Threw it right on by him. Second out of the inning. I think all eyes will be on Gil now for the next few times out because of what happened down in Arlington, the 128 pitches, and what happened to him last year after a 132-pitch complete game where he was going for a shutout. So everybody keep an eye on him now for a while.
And I think it's interesting, too, and I'm not sure how much you saw this. I suppose every pitcher has, whether it's mental or it actually is true. Gil Mesh has said over and over again, and not trying to make excuses, that for whatever reason, that mound in Texas has always given him problems. And some of the other pitchers during that trip told me the same thing, that it's just a little bit off there, and then they were struggling a little bit as Mitch Meyer is going to field that, and Gil Mesh not having any problem with this mound tonight, scoreless midway through the second. Now Billy Butler stepping in to face Mark Burley to begin the bottom of the second. Billy first pitch swinging, and one quick out again for Mark Burley, who now has 4 outs on 8 pitches in this game. Our sprint, you call it. Who is your favorite Royals manager of all time? A. Whitey Herzog, B. Dick Hauser, C. Hal McRae, D. John Wathen. Text 432-432 and enter keyword Royals. Don't forget the space in there, and we will certainly let our 2 Hall of Famers up here chime in on that as well.
You played for 3 of them. I only had 2 of them.
Well, it's too early to talk about it.
Well, I'm going to go with Duke just because, you know, you guys sometimes pick on Duke a little bit. So I got to give him a, you know. Well, Ryan picks on him for, you know, the running.
Well, runs well for a catcher?
Yeah.
Well, if you're going to make me choose this early.
You don't have to choose this early. We could talk about Jose Guillen.
No, let's do that.
You want to talk about Jose? All right. We'll get back to the sprint, you call it. Chime in. We don't want Frank or Split to influence you. Jose trying to dig out of the slump right now as Split. We have seen this in his 2+ years with the Royals. He can get hot real quick and he can get cold real quick.
And when he gets hot, he could carry the entire ball club for about a week, but not hot right now. And I think they're able to expand the zone on him a little bit. And it does look like he's overswinging from time to time. They have the scouting report on him right there. Burley gets ahead with 2 strikes. They elevate the ball because he's been going at it.
Then they'll make him chase down and away with 2 strikes.
Well, he chases that one, and Alexi Ramirez gets it jumping up for the second out of the inning. Just a reminder to look for the Miller Lite Taste Greatness moment later in tonight's game. Maybe it'll be Alberto Callaspo, who had the 3-run home run yesterday to finally open up the floodgates for that struggling Royals offense, get them back into it, trailing 3-0, and it did open it up a little bit.
Got a good series up in Chicago with 5 hits and an RBI. Seems like he's in the middle of the offense most every night.
Well, he's been, probably the most consistent in terms of getting hits, driving in runs, getting on base, extra base hits. I mean, he's just done everything with the bat that he left off doing last year.
Well, tough task. Got to face Burley tonight, Peavy tomorrow, and when you're talking Mark Burley as Callaspo takes their 20 career wins against the Royals. That's the most of any active player, and at least in my estimation, guys, one of the most overlooked starters in all of baseball as far as consistency. Never overlooked when it comes to working quickly. Again, 3 up, 3 down, no score after 2 at Kauffman Stadium. The perfect place to spend your Memorial Day holiday is at the K. Come on out for a special daytime edition of Buck Night when the Royals take on the Los Angeles Angels at 1:10 on Monday, May 31st for the unofficial start to summer. For details, go to Royals.com or call 1-800-6-ROYALS. Hey guys, I was walking back from Rivals before from the pregame show, and I saw that girl wearing the blue hair. Oh, wait, that was Chris.
He's in the spirit of the promotion.
Thanks for chiming in, Split. Frank's looking at me like I'm crazy.
He doesn't want to go there.
Don't go there. That's our buddy Chris. He did tell me he's going to Baltimore and Cleveland. And Mike Avila's trying to backhand it, and going to assume David Boyce will be ruling that one an error. No, a base hit. I was talking to David Boyce up in the press box, and he was asking, I said, you did a good job yesterday. Frank, your thoughts?
This is a play. If Mike catches this ball, he's probably got a chance to make this play at first base. The thing he does, he kept his arm straight, and the ball's coming up. You got to get a little bend in that elbow, and then make that ball a little bit easier to catch.
Beckham will take that break right there. He's been struggling with his bat. His batting average is down about 15 points from where it was last week when the club was in Chicago.
Somebody from the crowd just yelled, "That's an error." That was not me. My take on seeing it was that it was an error. Frank, you made most of the plays. That's why you had the 8 gold gloves. But I think that's probably a play that Mike would like to have back.
I think so, too. I think if he catches that ball, he's got a shot at first base on that play.
Omar Vizquel getting the start at DH, and Alberto Callaspo saw him the other day run and catch one over his shoulder, just couldn't quite get to that one split.
Omar Vizquel, it does look unusual seeing him as a designated hitter. First time he's been in that role this year, but the White Sox have already used 8 different designated hitters. Unusually high number for this ball club.
Well, you normally have one guy for the whole year, but when your offense is sluggish and you're trying to find some kind of offense, you just move people around and hope you can get a lineup you can stay with for a while.
Carlos Quentin has been struggling recently, so he's not in there. Andrew Jones came out of a game who got scratched late on a midweek game with a bad neck, so they're down to about their 4th DH.
And Vizquel, the oldest DH.
He's the oldest anything, isn't he?
I think so.
Seems kind of strange to see a White Sox player wearing number 11. One of the numbers that has been retired, but Luis Aparicio from Venezuela as well gave permission to go ahead and use it. Two guys are very good friends.
Well, 2 very good shortstops.
No question. And at 43, is the oldest player to appear in a game for the White Sox since Carlton Fisk back in 1993. Carlton Fisk back then, Pudge was 45 years old.
I was kind of thinking Manny Minoso, but he'd be the oldest ever.
Ever.
If anybody can figure out how old that is.
The guys in the truck can start doing some good math on that one. Or maybe not. Gordon Beckham at first, and he'll continue to keep an eye on that. Continue his battle with Vizquel.
Looks like the game plan against Vizquel so far, keep the ball away. See if you can get him to chase something out. Normally, if you go away, though, you want to go down on a hitter like him. Take the ball on the ground. Sit the ball in the air, slice one up that left field line.
Well, Vizquel was really playing in his prime. He could take a fastball and turn on it and hit really to the situation. Right now, I think he's just trying to protect with 2 strikes and try to hit the ball where it's pitched.
Well, especially if he's not getting much playing time.
Yeah. They Ozzie tried to hit and run with him earlier, and he fouled the ball off. But he's trying to open up some holes and trying to get his offense going, too.
Talking about Vizquel turning on pitch, especially from this side of the plate. Down and in, he would pump one into that right field corner. He was a confident hitter when he first came to the big leagues. Took him a while to get there, but pretty good all the way around.
And the defense just unbelievable. I like how Ryan always says that he and Frank combined for 8 gold gloves. Well, Frank and Omar combined for 19. Billy Butler grabs that ball and steps on the bag.
Well, when the ball gets hit this hard, you have to hope you got your guy in the right place, because infielders are not going to have much of a time to move.
Well, sometimes the ball catches you, Paul. you come sliding off the bag. You don't quite get squared up to the ball, and you just got to fight for your life. And that, to me, you talk to any first baseman, that's the hardest ball to catch is that rocket, and you haven't had a chance to square up.
And we were just talking about Vizquel turning on a pitch. That was it.
Oh, he's still got a nice short swing.
Well, Juan Pierre steps in, was hit by a pitch in the first inning in a battle of a couple of products of the state of Louisiana. And Juan Pierre was not born in Louisiana, but a long line of history from his family there, and was born, I think, in Alabama, moved back to Louisiana, and actually went to high school about an hour away from Gil Mesh. They're only a year apart in age, but said he never faced him or anything in high school, but he was aware of Gil Mesh. From Alexandria, Louisiana, and Gil from Lafayette, Louisiana.
Well, Pierre getting hit by that pitch in the first inning was not that far off the plate. So I think from here on forward, got to be very careful going inside. I think I'd stay away and try to stay down.
Well, you got your defense playing around the left field, so I would do the same thing. Just make him hit the ball the way you want him to hit the ball. Sometimes, guys, you can just throw certain guys fastballs on the outer half and not have to worry about throwing them all your pitches. Just let them hit the ball into your defense.
Pierre sends that one to right field. DeJesus going to move in on it. It is girls' night out. Let's head out to Nate Bukaty.
See, now, guys, I'm in the spirit for girls' night at the K. People might want to know, though, what is girls' night at Kauffman Stadium? Well, I'll tell you what it is. It's awesome. If you're one of the ladies that came to check this out, massages, chocolate fountains, facials, drinks, just about everything you can want, and it's all for a good cause as they're raising money for Susan G. Komen for the Cure, which fights breast cancer, guys. A great cause here tonight at Kauffman Stadium.
All right. Nate is somewhere out there, perhaps now by the chocolate fountain. It is a great cause. And now I got to say, to echo Nate's words, it's awesome.
He hit that awesome pretty hard.
He did. Well, he must have been hitting the chocolate fountain.
Well, it would have been nice if he was in a massage chair getting a massage. He could have said, this is awesome. But
he'd have to tip if he was doing that.
Gordon Beckham is at second base right now, and A.J. Pierzynski, who did not have a good at-bat in the first inning, is ahead in the count 2-0 split. Gil Mesh has not been behind in very many counts at all so far.
No, he really hasn't established the fastball, gotten the curveball over. Curveball has been the pitch that's really been inconsistent for him so far. And you get that over, and all of a sudden you're a three-pitch guy.
Well, you get that changeup working, you're right at. I mean, you got a good fastball and changeup deadly enough, but you add a good solid curveball in there, a slider with it, and you got three pitches working. The hitter has nowhere to go.
Pierzynski has never really been known as a guy with a real quick bat, so has to kind of cheat a little bit, hits out of that open stand. So if he's got to cheat on that fastball, that makes it possible to change up even better.
Pierzynski is always seeming to hit the Royals well, hits that ball not well enough. DeJesus is there. Gil Mesh out of the third, unscathed, scoreless at Kauffman Stadium. Don't wait for the lump that has been viewed by more than 2 million people worldwide, and she continues to volunteer for Susan G. Komen for the Cure, spreading her life-saving message of early detection and one day finding a cure for the disease. Good to have her here with us tonight at the ballpark as she's watching a scoreless game and one quick out for Mark Burley once again to start the inning. Unieski Betancourt now is going to step in and try to get this offense going a little bit against a guy that has a no-hitter in his career, a perfect game in his career. It's very early, but we know how quick this guy can work and we know how good he can be split.
really kind of an unlikely guy to be throwing a no-hitter or a perfect ball game because he's not overpowering it year in and year out. Always more hits allowed than innings pitched, and he's going to be on the plate. He's not overpowering. He's not a big strikeout guy, but knows how to get it done. Does a good job of keeping you off balance. He's one of those guys when you watch him work, don't even think about the radar gun. Radar gun's not going to tell you a thing about it.
Well, I think one of the key things you said there, he keeps the Royals hitters off balance. He keeps the hitters reaching for balls and keeps the ball down. And that's why he's able to get the ground balls.
And he always gets good defense behind him because everybody's ready on every pitch because they know they got a chance to get it.
Jason Kendall is batting ninth tonight. There are 4 players for the Royals coming into tonight that have batted ninth in a game. Unieski Betancourt, Willie Bloomquist, Chris Getz, Mitch Meyer, and so now Jason Kendall is the 5th, and it's his former manager in Milwaukee, Ned Yost, batting him ninth. That's the one real lineup change we saw tonight. What do you think about Kendall batting ninth, Frank?
Well, Ned probably got some history there with Jason batting ninth that he's going back to, and he also creates a situation where you get a possible hit and run and bring some offense to the top of the order and take it back to Billy Butler, who's swinging the bat well.
Here's a guy that should have some confidence against Mark Burley. Jason Kendall, nothing but very positive things to say about his new manager and his old manager in Trey Hillman, but a real big fan of Ned Yost from his days in Milwaukee. He said both guys, Ned Yost and Trey Hillman, just great baseball people. Well, he's worked the count to 3-2 and seeing if he can get this offense jump-started just a little bit and try to turn it over for Scott Podsednik. Not going to happen, though. Just 29 pitches for Mark Burley. We are scoreless after 3.
They unveiled them today, starting at the Kansas Speedway, then rolling right up here to Kauffman Stadium. You know, there's only one reason I'm surrounded by women right now, and it's because I'm standing next to the Camaro.
Thank you, Nate. Absolutely, stunningly beautiful. Those Camaros are amazing. Let's talk about the Camaro, guys. Well, the 2010 KC Camaro drive-around taking place. 40 Camaros drove from the Kansas City Speedway to Kauffman Stadium. That's unbelievable. The new Chevy Camaro has struck a chord with fans, old and new. Chevy Camaro, amazing vehicle, re-energizing the segment. Gilmesh getting a quick out there, and so the Camaro, very popular, and Gil Mesh looking pretty popular as well tonight. What a great quick start from him.
Well, this is the kind of ball game he wanted to pitch efficient first few innings, keep his club in the ball game against a tough opponent in Mark Burley.
Gil has thrown 48 pitches so far, Burley 29, and not that that's a bad pitch count really for Gil Mesh. I mean, it's about where he'd want to be, right? Split it, but Mark Burley's just been so unbelievably efficient.
Big item with the Chicago White Sox. You got to find a way to keep him in the ballpark. Now, they spent the last couple of years trying to be a more versatile team. Somebody can get on base, steal bases, take an extra base, but they still lean on the home run a lot. And they're leaning on it again this year, and a lot of that behind Paul Konerko. Third in the American League in home runs, but they're last in the league in batting average. So they are not the versatile team that Ozzie Guillen wants, at least not to this point.
Well, you bring that batting average up, and now you're talking 2-run homers and 3-run homers versus solo homers.
Well, Konerko leading the American League in home runs, and saw an interesting quote. It was an old one, but regarding Paul Konerko, who's generally regarded as a very, very nice guy, but he just said that he's very intense when it comes to winning, and his quote was, and I'll let you guys battle on this one, "I hate pitchers. I hate all of them. I'm a hitter trying to make a living, and they're trying to strike me out. I hate all of them. But you guys get along."
Enough said.
We were teammates.
Right. You didn't have to get him out.
I want him behind me.
I agree with Paul all the way. I mean, hate's a pretty strong word, but you're competing against the pitcher, and you want to do everything you can to get a base hit.
And you really don't need to strike him out. I mean, busting his bat is fine. And you don't really need to line the ball off my forehead. So, I mean, something in the gap would be good.
I'd rather hit it out there in the green grass. I've seen pitchers hit with a lot of balls and turn into outs.
Well, Konerko is going to get on via the walk. Konerko has done a very good job one way or another of getting on base. As we take a look at our league leaders, brought to you by your Kansas City area Toyota dealers. Longest streaks of reaching base as Paul Konerko now at 23 games, tied with Miguel Cabrera and Alex Rios at 16 games. So you see some of the top players in the American League Central finding ways to consistently get on base.
It's awful early, but with Miguel Cabrera off to the start he is, there is an MVP candidate.
He's got such a great swing. I mean, he got such great plate coverage. And I'd say one of the best two-strike hitters in the game. And you throw him a slider, if you don't get it off the plate, he's going to whack it somewhere.
Have you ever seen a good two-strike hitter that wasn't a good breaking ball hitter?
No.
Yeah, they're all a good breaking ball hitter.
Now, Mike Aviles with the only play at that point that he had, trying to go to first, and everybody is safe. Mesh took a swipe at it. Betancourt tried to get it. Aviles ends up fielding it. Frank, what happens here?
Well, this is a situation here where you think your shortstop's going to get this ball coming across, and Mike Aviles backhands it. Then when he looks up, he sees the runner. It looks like he doesn't have a good grip. Now he's got to throw over the runner rather than throwing the ball down through the runner.
Shortstop has to make that play or it's not going to get made.
That's true.
He has to have his momentum going on that throw. That's what they call a seeing eye base hit.
Well, the White Sox have the only 2 hits of this game. Neither of them have been anything impressive at all. 2 hits pretty much in the infield. The one ball backhanded by Aviles and the other one there up the middle that nobody could quite get to. So they haven't exactly hit the ball hard so far.
Yeah, but the big item, you don't want the next hit to be impressive.
Well, the thing is, if you're the hitter, that's like a line drive to you as a hitter, and Paul hit it on the head. These kind of hits to start rallies.
And, of course, before KCA was Paul Konerko with the walk, and it's 2 walks now in the game for Gil Mesh. Not at where he was in Texas as far as the walks at least yet, but coming off of a 7-walk game, so you certainly have to pay attention to that.
Royals didn't have a good strikeout to walk ratio in that series up in Chicago. It's something they'd like to improve on this week, but Gil with a couple free passes already, plus a hit batter.
Alexi Ramirez batting just .219 so far on the season, and Gil going inside and almost hitting Alexi Ramirez.
He's trying to get in on the hands. It wasn't like he had a 2-strike count on the hitter and trying to run him off the plate. I mean, Frank talked his last time up about that big kind of loopy swing. And when you get somebody like that, you want to tie him up and see if you can force those hands in a little closer to the body.
Yeah, and you can fire him up inside and then go away with a breaking ball to make him reach.
Well, they do go away, and he catches them looking to bring the count to 2-2.
You know, it's not the breaking ball, but when Gill is on his game, he's got an outstanding cutter down and away from the right-handed hitter. When he's on, he can deliver that pitch time after time.
Trying to go outside corner at 98 miles an hour.
Well, that's a little above Gill's radar, but you know it's impressive to see him with that fastball. That's like a four-seamer right on the outside corner.
Fox Tracks liked it. Bruce Dreckman did not.
Well, that's a pretty tight strike zone. If he's not going to get that pitch, it's going to be a tough time for Gill, not giving up foul balls and things like that. Just getting that call third strike.
It was interesting. Gil told me on the Hy-Vee Royals live pregame show after that 128 pitch outing last weekend that coming back the next day, going out there and throwing, he said his arm felt really good, almost felt stronger. Got to stay away from the walk here. Double play. Be really nice. Strikeout would be just fine, but split for a guy that has had problems with the walks. Can't start getting into that rut again.
No, you really can't. And this is a situation the White Sox would like to be able to run, but their lead base runner, Paul Konerko, is kind of what they call a base clogger, so that makes it impossible to try to send the runners, force an infielder to move. So look for him to stand pat right here.
That ball almost made it to the broadcast booth. Well, Frank would have been all over it.
I was watching Doc right next to me. It was his play all the way. He's short-armed it a little bit.
Playing a little low.
Doc, you need longer arms, Doc.
I saw him reach.
Doc had no chance of making that play, but he was as ready as. I feel safe with Doc up here. Frank, you too.
Well, with me, you got to move.
Hit the deck.
Hit the deck.
Split, how about you?
I'm playing it safe.
I just hope you don't get a ricochet anymore.
Can anybody help? We got Doc. I'm sitting with two Hall of Famers here. I can already see Doc's cell phone blowing up. And that ball is hit deep to left field, but hooking foul.
That's his zone.
He
found it.
That's that curveball. You put that out. You put that pitch out over the plate like that, and this is a changeup, and it just stays right in the middle of the plate.
Well, it's a good thing it was a changeup. That allowed him to pull it foul. If that's a fastball, it's probably up in the fountains.
He had a curveball early. He pulled that foul also.
Gilmesh getting a little clapping support from the crowd. Still a 3-2 count and a crucial at-bat and pitch here as Ramirez steps out and comes back in. Potential turning point of the game if Gil can get around this one, but Ramirez has been pesky.
This is a situation you'd like to have a pitch to work with. You would hope it would be 2-2 because he's got Ramirez swinging the bat. And a lot of times when you get a guy swinging it, you can keep it swinging even if the ball is out of the zone. But you can't afford to do that here because if he doesn't go after it, it's ball 4.
Gets him on the curveball. Alexei Ramirez does not like it. Gilmesh wins the battle there. Couldn't have come at a bigger time.
Well, you can see Gil's throwing him a lot of pitches here, and this is off the plate, but there's a couple on the plate that Gil didn't get. So, Paul, I think, is evening out.
Well, it's a good battle right there. I mean, that was fun to watch, no matter how it came out. Glad it came out like it did, and the home folks like it as well.
Yes! Why not? She was fired up.
Yeah, it was kind of competitive.
She was competitive. Well, it's girls' night out. I think Nate should go interview her. Drops another one in split.
You know, if Ryan would just show up, that'd be you out there.
Right, but I'm here. And Ryan, by the way, is getting better. Lost his voice and under the weather a little bit, but we expect him back on Sunday. We should also say congratulations to Mark Teahan. I don't know if you guys heard or not, but just after we left Chicago, he proposed to his girlfriend Lauren. The truck is thrilled about it. We are thrilled about it. Congratulations to Mark. He proposed to her with a picnic in the park.
Pretty confident after getting that 3-year contract.
Maybe that's what he was waiting for all along, the 3-year contract. He is down in the hole to his friend Gil Mesh, 0-2. Gil going upstairs at 97 miles an hour.
Well, we've seen Mark for a number of years, and we know that he will chase that high fastball from time to time. So get 2 strikes on him, he'd go to the well and see what happens.
25-pitch inning for Gil Mesh, and really the first inning that he has labored. But if he can get out here and retire Mark Teahan, no harm done other than the pitch count. Here's the Roadrunner Turbo pitch speed comparison. Now Fast is even faster. Double your speed with Roadrunner Turbo from Time Warner Cable. Burley, no surprise there at 89. The surprise would be Gil Mesh checking in on the radar at 98 miles an hour.
I don't think we've ever seen him dial it up to 98, have we?
I think he's probably 3 miles per hour over. Sometimes he hits 96, but consistently in that 95 range. Now Mark will chase the breaking ball down out of the zone, and he will chase the fastball up around his hands. So he's got 2 areas that he can work with right here. They just got to decide on which one they want to use.
And they've already gone after both of them, the high fastball and the low breaking ball. So what do you want to do?
Royals Baseball is brought to you by AT&T. Find out what's possible with the nation's fastest 3G network. AT&T, rethink possible. And by Panera Bread. Explore a menu full of hearty soups, salads, sandwiches, and breakfast items at Panera Bread. A great Friday night crowd as they are all cheering for the strikeout of former Royal Mark Teahan. And they get it. Gil Mesh is out of the inning. No damage done. Scoreless midway through the 4th. Kansas City watching scoreless baseball so far in a pitcher's duel between Mark Burley and his former teammate Scott Podsednik. Count 1-1, and here in the 4th inning, Mark Burley has only thrown 31 pitches so far. Averaged less than 10 an inning in the first 3 innings. Podsednik was 4 for 12 in the Cleveland series. Double, a triple, a sacrifice. warming up to that leadoff spot that he has held for so many years. Juan Pierre knows a thing or two about the leadoff spot as well, and has the first out. Members of the Royals 1985 World Series team will take on members of the 1985 Cardinals in the 85 Classic presented by Farmland Foods. The Classic game starts at 1 p.m. on Saturday, May 22nd at Kauffman Stadium before the Royals take on the Colorado Rockies at 3:10 p.m. For details, go to Royals.com or call 1-800-6-ROYALS. Predicting it now, Frank's going yard.
Frank is?
Yeah, in that game. Why not? Mike Aviles lines out. Speaking of 85, Frank is speechless on the home run prediction, but I'll predict it.
I'm not sure if I'm playing.
Well, if you do, you're going yard. If not, we'll say you did anyway. All right, favorite Royals manager, sprint you call it, and Dick Hauser well into the lead, although Whitey Herzog right there in second place. Now we can get some thoughts. Frank?
Hauser. I go with the fans.
Go with what you want to go with.
That's what I want to go with.
Okay, all right. I didn't know if you were going with the fans because you're just going with the fans, or you just happen to be in agreement with them.
Well, he batted me third. He batted me fourth.
Enough said.
He batted me fifth.
Okay.
He didn't.
You won a world championship?
Yeah, he didn't pigeonhole me in the 8th and 9th spot.
I'm not saying you shouldn't go with Dick Hauser. I'm just saying, whatever you say. See, whatever you say, the fans will go with you.
I let the fans go first. But
you didn't want to influence them.
But Dick Hauser is my favorite. I think he saw more in me as an all-around player than anybody I ever played for.
So now it's interesting because when Whitey got here, the first move he made was put Cookie on the bench and put you in as an everyday guy.
And that was strictly a defensive move.
Well, he got younger, got faster.
Right.
And that was something we needed at that time. Also put Al Collins in right field, put Vada Pinson, who was a veteran, on the bench.
David DeJesus in the left field, a busy inning for Juan Pierre, but again, a quick one as Mark Burley keeps rolling. We're scoreless after 4. Ball. Well, they haven't gotten it so far tonight. They've got a pitcher's duel, and I can't believe this guy's Mark Burley, 39 pitches. Both guys scoreless, but a difference in pitch efficiency.
I told you the 6-point ERA over his last 5 ball games is way too high. He's doing a lot better than that. Showing us tonight, and Gill needed a ball game like this, Frank.
Well, he really did. I mean, he's just getting induced some early contact, and he including his defense in the game. But what he's doing right now, he's battling each hitter. I mean, he's really done a good job of working himself to the pitch he wants and getting some big outs with it.
Gordon Beckham is on with his second hit of the game. The game in split you mentioned before. This is a guy that probably willing to do anything he can to get a hit at this point. And now he's got a couple of them in the game.
Well, Ozzie Guillen must have pushed the right button there, moving him from number 2 last week down to number 8 here tonight. On base for a guy who can move him along.
Well, coming into the game, he was batting .088 with 14 strikeouts in the month of May, 3 for 34. So now 5 for 36. Not that that sounds much better, but it's a couple of hits for him. And Gil Mesh once again having to pitch with runners on base. He has had a runner on base in every single inning, but has been able to handle it.
Well, the big item in the base hit he's given up is a single. The walk, he's had a guy get picked off, so he's done some things to help himself.
Omar Vizquel just 125 on the year. I think it's always fun when we get a chance to see Omar, and it was certainly Cleveland for years, and we saw him in Texas last year and now, and I always get a kick out of seeing Frank catching up with Omar on the field, because there aren't a lot of guys in the major leagues in history that have more gold gloves than you.
Well, he's one of the few guys I really love to watch take ground balls. I mean, his hands are just amazing. Even now, just watch him take infield, doing batting practice, just take ground falls, the way he gets the ball to the second baseman. I mean, his hands are still good.
And you can't tell me a Venezuelan in this league of the younger guys, no matter what the position, first base, catcher, wherever they play, that hasn't told us, I wanted to be Omar Vizquel when I grew up. Billy Butler going to go to second, gets one, back over, not in time, but a nice play by Billy on the fielder's choice.
Hardway double play. Everybody plays it about right.
Well, Billy, he's inside, and Bedcourt comes to the back. He stays inside, but he makes one move here that was really good. He anticipated Bedcourt to stay inside. He jumped outside to try to make this play. You see, Beckman went to the inside, and Bedcourt went to the outside. If he goes to the inside, he might get taken out.
I think you anticipate runner going inside because of the ball coming, trying to get in the line of the throw from first base.
And that's smart base runners do that.
Gil Mesh with a little bit of the stretch there, trying to complete the double play as Juan Pierre steps in for the third time of the game. He's 0 for 1, being hit by a pitch and flying out to right field. And again, a very, very dangerous base runner, someone that you want to keep off.
Well, so far, Gil has sort of pitched his way around a couple situations. Ozzie again has put on 2 hit and runs, and Gil having good stuff. Both pitches have been fouled off.
Pierre lays down the bunt. Nobody to cover at second base as Callaspo wanted to go to second. And now Billy is going to make sure that Omar Vizquel isn't going anywhere else. But Callaspo looking Frank right away towards second base. Nobody there to cover, and so he had to go to first.
Well, that's a tough one for a second baseman. You don't know if he's going to bunt or not. So once that ball goes down, he's got to head to first base. So there's really nobody there to cover second base, and Caswell takes the out at first base.
So Omar Vizquel still on second base, and A.J. Pierzynski going to step in. That is the Royals' new infield coach, Eddie Rodriguez, shifting from first base to third base, from outfield to infield. And Dave Owen released from his job today. He used to work with the infielders, and we were told that Eddie Rodriguez, on top of being an infielder during his playing days, because of his ability to speak fluent Spanish, having grown up in Cuba, that'll certainly help with guys like Yuniesky Betancourt and Alberto Callaspo.
Ned Yost talking about that today, how he is different than Trey Hillman. Trey was a hands-on guy. Ned Yost is going to let his coaches do a lot of the work.
Well, that little shot in the left field is going to drop and allow Omar Vizquel to score easily, and so the White Sox are on the board as A.J. Pierzynski ducks that ball in the left field for the first run of the game.
But one of the things you always try to do is try to tie up A.J. Pierzynski. Royals looked like that time they were trying to get outside. Just a bit of a cutter right here. A.J. kind of jammed himself with it. That ball wasn't inside as much as I thought the way it came off the hands. A little dunk in the left field. The thing about Pierzynski, he gets a lot of hits like that, but you got to find a way to put the ball in play, and he does that on a consistent basis. Might break more bats than anybody else, but he'll find a way to get it done.
Well, you're right, and he's just struggling at the plate, and he's just trying to survive right now, and little hits like that kind of can get you going as a hitter.
A.J. Pierzynski is one of those guys, and you know somebody like this in every single sport, that everybody hates unless he's on your team.
Well, Ozzie Guillen said, if he's on your team, you just hate him a little less than everybody else. Of course, Ozzie is not a guy that, is not quotable. He'll get out there.
Well, Ozzie's only not quotable when he says all the things that you can't repeat. That fly ball to right field will end it, but not before the White Sox score. 1-0, Chicago on top. Take over the Royals during a season and finish with a winning record. Frank, you're giving me a look like I don't know. You have a thought?
Well,
You'll come up with something. You just look perplexed.
I haven't always been here.
I was thinking about the managers that I played for that were replaced in midseason. Jack McKeon, midseason 75.
Billy Butler. Simple little ground out to Mark Burley, who has now thrown 42 pitches on the game. It's in College Night at the K on Wednesday, May 26th at 1:10 p.m. College Night offers Select Field Plaza, Outfield Box, or Hy-Vee infield tickets for high school and college students with valid ID for just $7. Food and beverage specials in the Outfield Plaza concession areas. For details, go to Royals.com or call 1-800-6-ROYALS. That ball is going to drop in. No-hitter for Mark Burley tonight as Jose Guillen ends a couple of trends that were not going well for the Royals. One split was his own, a very long hitless streak of 0 for 21, and the other a no-hitter for Mark Burley.
And not the kind of base hit that he would want to get. He was tied up by this ball and kind of flipped it up the right field line, but it's one he will surely take right now.
Well, you're right, and that if his legs were feeling much better, in better shape, and the way Koski bobbled that ball around, he might have been able to get to second base.
Well, Jose is on, and
Joel, thinking about the two managers I had that were replaced in midseason. I mean, Jack McKeon let go, Whitey Herzog came in, Jim Fry let go in 1981. Dick Hauser comes in. I think both those guys were over 500 from there to the end of the year.
I know we went to that little mini playoff in '81.
And we turned it around once Whitey got here. In fact, we were about 500 when Jack McKeon was let go. Might have been 500 right on the button.
Should we go on Whitey?
When Jack was let go,
I'll say both of them.
When Jack was let go, he had won 5 in a row.
You know, we never asked you on the. I'm switching to the other question here, the sprint question, and Frank said Dick Hauser. What about for you, Split, your favorite manager?
Well, Whitey was the favorite one for me. I mean, he was fun to play for. And it doesn't have anything to do with the fact that Dick was the guy that made the decision. My career was over. I mean, I really respected him for everything, but it was more fun for me playing for Whitey. And for the same reason Frank did, I think Whitey had more faith in me than any, well, except for Jack McKeon. But there was that pickoff. Be careful. Don't put your head down. Oh, my.
Well, the boos are being heard on that one, and Jose was absolutely caught in no man's land there.
And there's nowhere for him to go. I mean, he's not stepping out where he's going to steal a base. He's headed into a secondary lead, took his eyes off the pitcher, looked towards home plate as though a pitch was going to be delivered, And everybody over in that Royals bench is aware of the Mark Buehrle move to first.
Well, all you can say there, I mean, he was a dead duck. I mean, he was froze. I mean, he couldn't do anything.
He didn't know the throw was coming over yet.
71st career pickoff for Mark Buehrle.
But when you got to keep out on the pitcher until he actually releases that ball toward home plate. You can't look toward second, and you can't look toward home plate.
Well, you know, the head down was just as much in shame afterwards. Throwing over, and he put his head down saying, yep.
Where you can see his eyes look away from Buehrle as he thought the pitch was going to be delivered. That's what they call a deceptive move.
Cayaspo grounds to the right side, and again, Buehrle quickly working here at the K. Chevrolet Camaro, #1 selling sports car in Kansas City. Paul Konerko steps in, and Gil Mesh, having thrown 83 pitches to this point, with the first pitch strike.
Paul Konerko is easily the hottest player that the White Sox had in the month of April. A new team record of 11 home runs, one better than Jim Thome did as the DH for Chicago. Doesn't like pitchers, huh?
Doesn't like pitchers. You want me to introduce you guys after the game?
I found a personality flaw.
But he's a nice guy.
I know he is. Great team guy. I mean, they love him there in Chicago. Came over and traded from Cincinnati. Came over as a third baseman. Kind of had a big hole in the swing. They wondered if he'd be able to cover it up. But cover it up, he has.
How'd that trade work out for Chicago? Mitch Meyer is going to chase that one. Great catch at the wall. Mitch Meyer. And the fans love that one as Paul Konerko took it deep to the wall. And that will be our Home Depot Do It More on defense as Mitch Meyer, Frank, continuing to play an excellent center field for the Royals.
Well, what he does here, Joel, he just takes off running and he keeps his eye on the ball and has no fear of the wall. And once he hits the track, he knows how many steps he has before he hits the wall, and just makes a great reaching catch right before he crashed into the wall. Just outstanding play by Mitch. Great concentration.
Defensive play of the game brought to you by the Home Depot Doing More on defense. Now Mark Kotze steps in, and Mark Kotze has bounced around this league and a guy that can play a lot of positions, including serving as the designated hitter, and someone that a lot of our viewers in Omaha may remember or go back a ways, but was a superstar in the 1995 College World Series. Listen to this. Rosenblatt Stadium, playing for Cal State Fullerton championship game, a teammate of Jeremy Giambi's, batted .563 in the College World Series. The clinching game, had 2 home runs, and he pitched the final 1 2/3 innings to get the save.
It's the last year for Rosenblatt Stadium.
It is.
In the College World Series. They're building a new one downtown Omaha. And the Omaha Royals are getting a brand new ballpark out west of town. That was the league I was afraid I wasn't going to get out of, Frank. The American Association.
Mark Kotze clubs that ball. Mitch Meyer not going to have a chance at that one, and so Kotze with a base hit in his second straight at bat, and he has been on base all 3 times tonight. This copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of the Kansas City Royals Baseball Club and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the expressed written consent of the Kansas City Royals Baseball Corporation. So once again, Gil Mesh having to deal with a runner on base. He has done so every single inning, although managed that damage fairly well. Just 1 run in the 5th, and now Alexei Ramirez, who he had a big battle with back in the 4th inning, steps in. Mesh won that one. It took longer this time. He gets it a little quicker.
Well, this has been the best battle of the night. It's Gil Mesh against Ramirez. Long battle the last time. It's one of those at-bats where you say the 0 for 2 and 2 strikeouts really doesn't give you a true indication of what really happened in the ballgame. But good to get him out there. Now 2 outs in the inning. Runner's still holding on at first.
And now favorite of the Fox Sports Kansas City truck, Mark Teahan steps in. Split, did you hear what our runner is going? And throw's going to head out into the outfield, and now Mark Kotze is going to get the stolen base and advances to third base. Costly mistake there. And Ned Yost getting his first look at some fundamental mistakes there that have plagued the Royals over the last couple of years.
Well, this is a tough ball here to handle. Is behind the base runner. Then Mike taking the deep route in the backup. The thing that you just kind of be under control is you got to look for the errant throw, and you got to try to be under control and try to stop the ball from going into center field. But Mike ran right by that ball.
I think that ball deflected off of Betancourt's glove is one reason he kicked behind him. I'd like to see that replay again.
I'd have to see that one too.
A big item, the throw was offline, and tailing that down was going to make it tough for either middle infielder that was going to hold the line there. See if Uni gets some glove on this. Hit the base runner.
Hit off the right shoulder. There we go.
It'll be interesting to see the relationship, one that, as we've mentioned, has happened in the past between Ned Yost and Jason Kendall, because Ned Yost, during his playing career, was a catcher. And talking to some of the folks in Milwaukee, they said that Jason Kendall's ability to throw out runners really improved as he was working with Ned Yost. And talking to Jason about that, he said absolutely, he's definitely a valuable tool for me.
Well, that would certainly be a plus, because over the last couple of years that has been one of the questions about Jason Kendall, because the caught stealing percentages have not gone up, they've gone the other way.
Yeah, well, he gets in trouble when he rushes a lot and can't really get that shoulder turn, and so he can get that good throw right over the mound to second base. And he said a lot of times, you know, when you try to be quick, you don't get that good grip on the ball that you normally would like to have, but you still got to let it go.
You see Ned Yost talking to his bench coach, John Gibbons, who he kept on board, and saying that John Gibbons would be very valuable to him because Gibby has so many years of experience in the American League, and Ned Yost for his whole career has been a National League guy.
Now, Ned knows our ball club really well because he was with them in spring training, but has been with the minor league teams quite a bit. But as you mentioned, all his on-the-field experience is over in the other league. Good straight change-up right there. Teahan well out in front of it.
Well, Teahan up the middle. Betancourt's going to get it and makes the throw. Saves a run, and the Royals still very much in this game, down 1-0. 1-0, White Sox on top. Let's take a look at our Honda highlights, both coming last inning. A pair of highlights of the game. Mitch Meyer tracking down the ball at the track and robbing Paul Konerko of a hit, and Unieski Betancourt spinning and throwing out Mark Teahan to end the inning. And of course, it's the law of baseball, guys. Two great plays. Well, they're the first two hitters of the inning. Mitch Meyer first, Unieski Betancourt second.
Perfect setup. Be hard to pick which one of those two was the best. Ball was by Betancourt.
Well, Unieski is definitely a lot more acrobatic.
Mark Teahan calling off A.J. Pierzynski for the first out. And beautiful sunset here tonight at Kauffman Stadium. Major League Baseball and People Magazine are looking for individuals who make a difference in their community. 30 everyday All-Stars will be honored at the 2010 All-Star Game in Anaheim. To nominate, go to peopleallstars.com. Betancourt going deep. Will it stay fair? Yes, it's gone. The Royals are on the board. Unieski Betancourt with the home run, his third of the year. Well, there you go. He made the great defensive play to end the inning and now gets the Royals back into this game. Franken for the second day in a row. The Royals with a home run to tie up a game.
Well, they got to break that curse of not being able to drive in runs, and the home run has been the way they've done it, and they followed the innings after that with something really positive. Here, Burley leaves this pitch up. This is one of the few pitches he's left up all night, and it was up to the inner half, and Uni's always looking to swing, and he put a good swing on that ball.
Just like that, we are all locked up at one run apiece. I was about to say, Split, that Mark Burley, as Jason Kendall, is going to ground the ball over to the right side for the second out of the inning, looking like he's having the type of pitch count that we saw Luke Hochevar have in that game here at Kauffman Stadium last year against Cincinnati.
Yeah, some similarities there. A lot of ground balls from Luke in that ball game. 80 pitches, 81 pitches in that one. Burley tried to run the cutter in on the hands of Uni, didn't quite get it there. Paid the price. Betancourt was his third home run of the season.
So Scott Podsednik stepping in against his former teammate. He's 0 for 2 on the day. Even after the home run, and it's not like Mark Burley is struggling in this one, guys, but he has said this over and over again over his career. I just get my sign and go. He's just sitting there waiting until Podsednik's ready.
And he doesn't ever shake off his catcher. I think his mindset is, since he's changing speeds and pitches all the time and location, about any call is good at any time. It's his responsibility to deliver that pitch. You want a breaking ball down and away? Go ahead and call. This is probably a good idea. I need to get the breaking ball down and away.
Paul, when you and the catcher used to go over your game plan for that game, so basically you guys are on the same page, so that's why you don't shake off much, because you've already talked over every hitter and how you want to approach most situations.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you've got confidence in your catcher, he really has a better read on my stuff than I do. I mean, I'm thinking I'm working as hard as I can. Every pitch I throw, okay, I feel really pretty good about it, but he's the guy that really sees it. He knows what kind of life is on the ball at the plate. He has an idea of the hitter. Plus, the catcher can see the feet. You talk to a guy who's caught a lot, he'll tell you what brand of shoes the guy's got. You put a stance in there, he'll tell you who it is. And I can't see the movement that a catcher can. So he knows a whole lot more about what's going on than I do. So if you got a guy who's interested in calling your ball game, hey, let him go do it.
Well, Scott Podsednik was definitely a pest to his good friend and former teammate Mark Burley, working the count and finally getting him to throw some pitches for maybe one of the first times all game, and finally delivers there with the hit.
Podsednik is one of those players you don't have to take him out of the ball game because you've got a left-hander going against him. He hangs in well against him. That's a tough pitch to handle right there. Has him out front, but he had back enough to get something on the ball.
They went down and really did a good job digging that one out, Paul. The interesting thing will be Burley's moves, and we're all down by one. This is a big stolen base.
And Podsednik A.J. Pierzynski not even going to try to throw him out. So just as quickly as Podsednik could get on base and maybe talking a little bit of, not trash, but poking a little bit of fun at his buddy, and he was off and running.
Well, Frank, here's the dilemma. You don't want to have to run on Burley because of the pickoff move. You don't mind running on Pierzynski because he doesn't throw many out. So it's a little bit of roll the dice.
Yeah, I was just so surprised that he didn't throw over, a couple times just to kind of get a read on what he, because most base runners like Podsednik, they like to go early in the count. And I'm just surprised they didn't throw over or step off to try to get some kind of read.
Podsednik now 13 for 16 in stolen base attempts on the year. And now
it looks like Burley was going to work so quick. He was going to deliver before Podsednik even got out to his lead.
Well, he had a great jump.
Got to make it stop anyhow.
You got to do something, hold the ball, get back on his heels or something.
Mike Avila's going to hit that ball out to center field. Not going to do it. Royals lead one, but they do tie up the game. Yuniesky Betancourt going deep for his third of the year, and the Royals and White Sox tied at one. End of the sixth. Pitches through 6 innings. Burley has given up a run as well. We'll take a look at the Chevy call to the pen. Dusty Hughes in there, and so Dusty, the first pitcher that Ned Yost will go to out of the bullpen as the new manager. And interesting, guys, that Gil Mesh, who certainly looked very good, he didn't necessarily show signs of slowing down after going complete game 128 pitches last week. Ned Yost saying it's enough at 100.
Well, I think you're right. I think that definitely had something to do with the pitch count tonight, Joe. He did have things under control in this game. He's pitching well and got deep in the game. Probably could have gone another inning, but like you say, that 128 pitches probably had something to do with that decision.
How about Dusty Hughes coming in for the 4th consecutive night? Pitched all 3 of the games to the Cleveland series.
Yeah, you got to go with the guy that's getting it done, and some guys, you pitch out of the bullpen. Sometimes, Paul, you got to be able to come out of that bullpen, 2 or 3 times in a row. Sometimes.
Dusty in the face, Gordon Beckham to start, and then he'll have the switch hitting Vizquel and a couple of lefties, Juan Pierre and A.J. Pierzynski. And we've talked about Gil Mesh and the hole that he dug himself early in the year, so he's not going to get a win again in this one, but it's almost like he's got to keep chipping away at that ERA. It drops tonight 8.24 to 7.17. It's going to take some time.
Well, and you want to win this ball game because you look at what the team's record is when you make that start. You want it to be every bit as good as the team record overall, if not a little bit better. He did a good job here tonight. Dusty Hughes probably wouldn't be in there tonight, Frank, if he didn't have just 2 pitches thrown yesterday.
Well, that's true.
If he had about 18 or 20, I don't know if you go 4 days in a row.
Well, he's got a good changeup, and for the most part, they want him to keep the ball down and throw strikes.
Well, Dusty Hughes gets the strikeout. Nice start to the 7th inning for Dusty Hughes. And speaking of pitching, time for our legendary performance brought to you by Cabot Woodstains. And May 14th, 1977, Jim Colborn becomes the first Royal to pitch a no-hitter at Royal Stadium, allowing only 2 runners in a 6-0 win versus Texas.
Maybe the best defensive showing of the season for you boys.
Yeah, he kept us busy.
So Jim Colborn, 33 years ago, and we talked to the author of 2 of the other Royals no-hitters. There have been 4 of them when we were in Texas last week. Good friend and teammate Steve Busby.
Go Rooney.
I was trying to get some dirt on you, Split.
Didn't get any, did you?
Nah, he was protecting you. I know there's dirt.
Boy, no telling how good Buzz would have been if he didn't get hurt.
Oh, my goodness. He had electrifying. He had an electric arm. I mean, and plus he had that attitude to go with it.
Nasty.
I mean, I love Buzzy. I mean, Buzz is one of those guys that, you know, if you got hit, he wasn't just going to hit anybody on the ball club.
Omar Vizquel is going to dump that one in over the shoulder of Aviles in front of Mitch Meyer. And so a hit for Omar Vizquel. And he is on base with 1 out in the 7th. Royals baseball returns tomorrow night on Fox Sports Kansas City as the White Sox and Royals, Jake Peavy versus Luke Hochevar. That is Luke there. It looks like Luke's ear. It is. He's going to be on the hill taking on Jake Peavy, who we know, guys, how good Jake Peavy can be, and he struggled out of the gate as well, and we saw him start to catch fire when the Royals were at U.S. Cellular.
Threw a great game, Joel. I mean, he was aggressive, pitched with a lot of fire, a lot of energy. I was going to finish my story on Buzz. Whenever one of our players were hit, I mean, he didn't believe in tit for tat. You know, he didn't say, well, you hit this guy's going to get hit, this guy. He says, I'm going to wait till the franchise player comes up. He said, I'm going to just hit the franchise player, and the manager will call it off right now.
And if they didn't have a franchise player, he wanted to go 2 for 1. Because Don Drysdale was his idol growing up, and that's the way he played it.
That's true. I remember John Mayberry, Billy Martin said, well, John Mayberry will never beat me. So every time John came up, he just had his pitch throw 4 fastballs up and in. And then Busby, that's when Jeff Burrows was a big star down in Texas. And Burrows and Buzz flew at Jeff, and Billy come running out there with his hands up. Okay, timeout. It's over.
I remember John also saying about him, he stands out there with kind of this smile on his face, but it's not really a smile.
I remember pitching to Reggie Jackson one time. He threw a slider down and in, and Reggie took a crazy swing at it. And he looked at Buzz and says, how can you throw me that pitch? You know, trying to trick him into throwing another slider down and in, and Buzz threw one under his chin. I thought that was one of the most impressive things I've seen.
Night of his first no-hitter in Detroit, he was slider, and one of the guys over on their bench said, throw a fastball one time, and he hollered over, why should I? There, the guy over there hit this slider. And he's a rookie. They had a big team, too. A lot of those guys from the World Championship team of 68.
We always had the smallest team in the league.
Dusty Hughes, a little bit concerned with Omar Vizquel, has thrown over a couple of times. All right, guys.
So did you ask Buzz about that when you talked to him last week?
That'll be next year.
You know, just tell me you're going to talk to him. I give you some stuff.
I called your
I
cell.
kind of lead you on.
I called your cell. You didn't answer. Oh, it is always good to catch up with Buzz. I'm not sure if he'll be back here when the Rangers come. I know he likes to make this trip.
He's not traveling with, no, he's doing Green Post.
Because he likes to do this trip when he can, just to come in and see some of the family. It was also good to catch up, and always good to catch up and talk about the triple with Jim Sundberg. Mitch Meyer is on the run again, a little bit easier than the last one as he tracks it to the warning track. We're tied up at 1 midway through the 7th. Girls' night out, a beautiful weather night, a nice pitcher's duel, and everybody having a good time and a big crowd at Kauffman Stadium. Joel Goldberg, Paul Splitter, Frank White, Ryan Lefebvre resting the voice. He's been a little under the weather, and we expect him back on Sunday. So that's good. I hear he may be hanging around, just not talking.
We hope he's rested.
I heard he was hanging around the truck. Maybe he's directing an inning. You got to be able to talk to do that, though. Mark Burley facing David DeJesus, and he just passed the 70 pitch mark on the game.
Mark Burley, opening day starter again this year for Chicago, the 8th time in his career, which is one more than Billy Pierce, another former left-hander.
David DeJesus giving the Royals their 4th hit of the game, first for David in a leadoff single. We're tied up at 1 here. Panera takes us around the league as New York up 7-4 right now. A-Rod with the grand slam in that game. Boston on top of Detroit 6-2. Big Poppy, been waiting for that for a while. A pair of home runs. Baltimore on top of Cleveland 2-1 as Adam Jones and Luke Scott with RBIs. Royals heading to Baltimore next. DeJesus is going to stay very close to that bag.
It'll be interesting to track that Minnesota Yankee series this weekend. Minnesota did not beat the Yankees one time last year. Went 0-7 in the regular season, 0-3 in the post.
Yeah, I don't like they're doing a pretty good job of it tonight.
Not doing well tonight, nope. You know, speaking of Minnesota, it's always important how you match up against teams in your division. Mark Burley just lights those guys up. Mauer and Manoah combined 209 batting average against him for their career.
That's impressive.
209 against him. Burley, the only holdover starting pitcher from their 2005 World Championship team.
And Burley, I mentioned it before, I mean, everybody knows the name Mark Burley, but when you talk about the superstars in this game, his name sometimes is just forgotten in the conversation. And from 2001 to 2009, he had among league leaders, Roy Oswalt 137 wins, CeCe Sabathia 136, Roy Halladay, and then Mark Burley. Billy Butler going to dump this one in there. DeJesus is heading to third, And the Royals have a little something going against one of the better pitchers in the league in Mark Burley. First and third, no out for the Royals.
Well, Burley gets his ball in on Billy's hands, and Billy got that inside-out swing, and David reads this ball well. I mean, he was off and running as soon as Billy hit this ball, and he just got to third base for Asia. You can see right here how Billy brings his hands in. The ball hits above the trademark, but he's so strong, he's able to force this ball out in the right field. But it takes David a good read to get first and third on that one.
We talked about Billy last night backing off the plate a little bit. I asked him about that today, and he says he does it from time to time. Just depends on how he feels, their ability to get the ball in on his hands. He said, I might change even the course of one at bat.
But I used to change all the time.
David's probably the best position on the field to get the read on this ball.
Well, he did a good job. He squared around, saw the ball, saw where the outfielder was, and just kept on dumping his stuff.
Jose Guillen ended a long hitless streak last at bat, and this one another hit and knocks in the go-ahead run. DeJesus scored. Guillen has him on the board again. 2-1, Royals on top.
Had an excuse me hit his last time up. Burley tried to come inside again with the cut fastball. In fact, ran that ball off the plate. Again, quick with the hands right there. That's not the big, powerful swing we've seen in the last few days. That was short and quick to the ball.
Yeah, just brought those hands in, and that's all strength right there.
Jose Guillen has been in an 0 for 21 slide. He ends that in the last at bat, but gets picked off at first base, just caught. It didn't look very good. This one, able to get the RBI and put the Royals on top against a pitcher who has been very efficient and very dominant today, but now suddenly they've got the 2-1 lead.
Well, Burley's done. The thing that's hurting Joel is that he's gotten the ball up to the end of the second. Even though he's made good pitches on the inner half, when you put the ball up like that and the guy gets jammed, the ball's already automatically over the infield. And Butler and Guillen being as strong as they are, they were to get the ball in there for base hits.
Now suddenly Mark Burley finds himself in a situation to potentially lose for the 5th straight game. And in his last 5 starts, the White Sox are 0-5 as a team. He's 0-4.
Well, Frank, I look for him to start pitching away and back down the strikes on the bases he got hurt on. Their ball's in on the hands where he really got the cutter kind of where he wanted it. But the fact that they're starting to dump him in, I think you have to go somewhere else.
You got to go down. You got to get your ground ball right here. You got to definitely look for a double play.
Ozzie Guillen's going to get a little bit of action out in the bullpen. That is Tony Pena warming up, the big right-hander, not to be confused with the smaller right-hander that used to play for the Royals. Tony Pena, shortstop converted pitcher. Jose doesn't want to get picked off twice in a game. I don't think he wanted to get picked off once, but twice would really not be good.
Oh, that first and second play there, and Konerko sneaking him behind. That's where your first base coach is the biggest help to a base runner. The Rusty's got to see that right away and starts. As soon as Burley picks that foot up, Konerko breaks.
That's a set play right there. They'd have a sign for that.
Callaspo past a diving Martin, and Eddie Rodriguez with the hands up immediately to hold the runner. Billy Butler staying at third. Pretty obvious choice for Eddie Rodriguez, guys. Billy Butler, not the quickest of runners. Ball in the shallow left field, and now we have bases loaded for Mitch Meyer.
Well, Berto does a good job here. Just gets a C. This is what we call a CNI base hit, too. And it's a ball where you don't have to take a chance with no outs. And Eddie erred on the side of caution right there.
Frank, this is a big inning for both those coaches. Rusty Kuntz, this is his first night at first base. He could have gotten embarrassed right there, getting the guy picked off. Of course, Eddie over at third base.
Well, I asked Eddie about that today, if it would be a big difference. And what he said was that if he didn't know the players, it would be a difficult challenge. But since he knows the players, it's really not that big a deal.
I talked to him as well, and he said the secondary lead is the big item for him. Now, he does have a lot of experience at third base. He coached at third base with 3 different ball clubs at the big league level. So it's not like he's never been there before.
Right. One of the biggest challenges is just the signs. He knows what his signs are to the players. but just understanding Ned Yost's signs and then translating his signs to the players. That's he said that would be the biggest challenge.
And so Ned Yost making the decision to terminate the contract or fire Dave Owen. Eddie Rodriguez goes over to third base. Rusty Kuntz goes to first. Now, Rusty's been with this team in the past few years, so this isn't new to him. He's familiar with the personnel, and having roved around the minor leagues, he has been able to help out as well. Mitch Meyer delivering another hit, and a couple of runs are going to come in. Billy Butler scores, Jose Diaz scores, and the Royals have something going here in the seventh. It is 4-1.
And Ozzie Gainer has seen enough. Going to head for the bullpen, come in with a hard-throwing right-hander down.
So the Royals on top 4-1. They chase Mark Burley. The Chevrolet call to the bullpen brings in Tony Pena Jr. Royals on top 4-1.
Do I want them to be perfect?
Tony Pena Jr.
No, not Junior.
Just regular.
Too? He's regular Tony Pena.
Had a good spring training. Fastball slider. He's starting to hang the slider a little bit. He's given up 3 home runs in right about 15 innings so far. So he has given it up. Tough to hit, though, only 11 base hits.
It could get confusing with all those Tony Penas running around.
And all the position changes.
Right. People say, boy, Tony Pena Jr. really grew a lot in the last year.
He's everywhere.
Is he what? He's in, I believe, the Giants organization now as a pitcher. Tony Pena Jr. Alberto Callaspo at second base. Mitch Meyer at first base. Still no outs here in the 7th inning, and the Royals would love to do a little more damage with the guy that got it all started for them offensively tonight, Yuniesky Betancourt, who homered last inning to tie the game at 1. Great crowd on hand here in Kansas City, and Yuniesky Betancourt on a 96-mile-an-hour fastball, showing some nice patience. Been a fun couple days here, guys. And I'm not just talking because they won yesterday and now winning right now. And obviously there was some rough stuff as well with the firing of Trey Hillman. But crowd-wise, 28,000 plus yesterday for school day at the K, and now girls' night out. Infield fly called, and Gordon Beckham going to take care of that. Betancourt not getting the result this time that he wanted or needed.
Joel, that's something the Royals really haven't been able to do too much lately, is play their best games in front of big crowds. It seems like it's gone the other way, but they make a good point the last 2 days. Fun here at the ballpark yesterday with all the young ones out here.
Well, it's nice to see the crowd at the end of the game standing for that last out. That's something we haven't been able to witness. And most of the games have been on the road a lot this year, but it's always good to see that.
Well, you know, they're 5-10 at home too, so we haven't seen that crowd standing a lot because they haven't played great baseball at home.
Yeah, maybe this is a point of turnaround here. The worst inning for the Royals so far this year has been inning number 7. We now scored a bunch, and all of a sudden today, hey, new man at the helm.
But you always see that slight upswing when you have a new manager. I know Buddy Bell took over. The Royals swept the Yankees.
The bar's pretty high right now, isn't it?
It's set real high, that's for sure. But I know as a player, when you're in a clubhouse or manager gets fired, I think the first thing I did was I felt some responsibility as a player. And then secondly, I always tried to reevaluate if I was doing everything I could on a daily basis.
Jason Kendall's going to hit the ball over a jumping Gordon Beckham. Cayaspo comes around to score. Royals on top 5-1. Royals are going to chase another pitcher as Ozzie Guillen coming out. Jason Kendall with the big hit.
And Ned Yo saying, I don't know if I push all the right buttons, but really the only lineup change he makes tonight is moving Kendall into number 9. He's come through with a base hit and an RBI.
Second pitching change of the inning for Ozzie Guillen as the Royals lead at 5-1. Five straight hits, and 6 of the last 7 batters have had hits here in this inning. And so Randy Williams is the new pitcher for the Chicago White Sox, the southpaw with a 4.76 ERA.
298 batting average against him, more walks than strikeouts. So he's had base runners on against him this year. Kind of a finesse lefty, fastball and curveball.
Scott Podsednik is 1 for 3 and a stolen base in this game, his 13th of the season. that memorable World Series home run in 2005. Also had 6 stolen bases during the postseason in 2005.
Pretty nasty right there. Drop down and elevate the fastball. Sednick was a key acquisition for Chicago that year. Had right at a .350 on base percentage. Really got it done out of that leadoff spot.
Well, you know, with it this season, he's 7th in the league in average of runners in scoring position at .375. So he's been getting some big hits.
Be interesting to see with the lead now and a little bit of a cushion. Gil Mesh already out of the game. Dusty Hughes pitched well. How Ned Yost will handle this bullpen. Sednick takes 4 ball.
Well, Frank touched on it a little bit. You don't know about the new guy coming in. How's that going to be handled? This Blake Wood, who his major league debut here the other night in the Cleveland series. I always thought all jobs were on the line when you got a new guy in. You knew what the old one thought about you and how he did things, but you always kind of wonder about the new one.
Well, you got to reestablish yourself because he hadn't had an opportunity to see you pitch. He just basically going word of mouth from the people who have seen you, so he wants to see his eyes on you too. So I think I always say when a new manager comes in, it's a refocusing time. Each player has to look and let at each individual self and say, you know, have I been doing the best job of being prepared as I can? And that's when that new guy comes in and say, well, new eyes, new opportunity.
And a guy that really showed a lot of confidence today, not just in his own abilities, but in the talent that he has here at the big league level. That ball is going to squeak by Martin. Another run's going to come around. Mitch Meyer crosses the plate. Royals on top, 6-1. Homecoming for Martin, not going the way he wanted to. Mike Aviles takes advantage, and the Royals keep on rolling on.
Certainly a makeable play for the third baseman right here. Caught in between on hops. He tried to get to the short hop, Frank, and came up a little bit short.
Well, it's the angle you take on that ball, Paul. Once that ball gets some height on it, you got to go straight toward the ball and not go straight across. Going straight across puts you in between. If you go at an angle toward the ball and try to trap that ball and make that hop short, it's an easier ball to handle.
Well, an error on the play charged to Martin, so no RBI for Mike Aviles. Royals will still gladly take that run to make it 6-1.
That's the first ground ball to T in here tonight, and that's a big-time surprise. If Burley getting the start, you figure a soft tossing lefty out there, that left side of the infield going to be busy.
Well, you're going to get some ground balls for sure.
But that's his first one.
Always with this, always wait for to get men on base before you get it.
Well, David DeJesus is going to try to keep this inning going. He started it beginning of the 7th with the single, would eventually come around to score on the Jose Guillen RBI to give the Royals the lead. The Royals have batted around and now looking for more. The second day in a row, guys, that the Royals able to generate a little bit of offense. It took a while, but you could almost see that confidence. And Ned Yost was talking about it, that they needed to not just change the culture of the way things were around here, but just to kind of get these guys out of that shell-shocked feeling that they've been playing through lately.
Well, both games, Joel, the outburst of the offense has followed home runs. Castro in yesterday's game, Bedford in tonight's game.
Ned Yost was actually in Springfield, Missouri, watching the Royals AA team play there yesterday, Northwest Arkansas. Said that he got the phone call from Dayton. He accepted the job, went to bed last night at his hotel, went to bed at about 3:30 in the morning as he was thinking about lineups, got up at 5:30 and drove here to Kansas City. A nice little 2-hour night of sleep. You guys talked about coaches. We saw Charlie Weiss down there before that. Those are NFL coaching hours, 2 hours of sleep.
Well, I asked Ned Yost in spring training when he was managing the Brewers. I said, well, what time did you normally get to the ballpark? He said 11:30. I said, why?
Now, you can't see it underneath the jacket, but he is wearing number 2. That is his jersey number here. We'll see that maybe as it warms up a little bit, but a cool night here. Jesus takes the ball, but number 2 is the jersey number for Ned Yost. UDSC Betancourt has number 3. Yost's number in the past was number 3 when he was with Milwaukee to honor his late friend Dale Earnhardt. And he was a very good friend of the NASCAR legend Dale Earnhardt, and actually worked on his pit crew one year when the baseball strike was going on.
I don't remember what number he wore when he played. I played against him in the early 80s. He was with the Brewers.
I called for the Brewers.
One of Harvey's wall bangers.
He had some wall bangers.
Oh, boy.
That was an 82 team.
He played in that World Series, had a brief appearance in there. David's going to take a walk, and they are all loaded up here for the Royals. And Ozzie is burning a path to the mound this inning. Another pitching change. Royals on top, 6-1.
You get better one player at a time, and my focus is to address each individual player and start working on things that will make each individual player better, which in turn makes our team better, which in turn makes our organizational better.
Well, so far, Ned Yost has to like what he sees. It took a while, but now the Royals offense going in full stride here, and another pitcher here in this inning. It started with Burley, went to Pena, Williams, and now Scott Linebrink.
The way this ball game was going in the middle innings, who would have thought you'd seen 4 pitchers in one inning?
You think the way Burley was going, Paul, you think he just breezed right through the 7th. The pitch count was low, but this cutter was elevated, and Ross fisted a couple balls out there for base hits, and that just opened the floodgates.
And Mark Burley, who came into the game at 2-4 with a 4.96 ERA, now leaves with a 5.26 ERA. Billy Butler with a chance to put a dagger in the White Sox. The bases loaded and 2 outs here in the bottom of the 7th. Billy Butler, a little ground ball, no problem at first for Konerko, but the Royals take a commanding lead in this game. 5-run 7th, they lead 6-1. pitching change for Ned Yost here as Dusty Hughes pitched the 7th, and Blake Wood comes on for his second big league appearance.
Pitched here on Wednesday night, pitched the 7th inning. Fell behind the first 2 hitters, 3-0, but came back to get him. Got a little double play ball behind him, so a little different setting here tonight with a big crowd and a big ball game on the line. Royals are down 4-0 here the other night when he got in.
He will face Rios, Konerko, and KCA.
You know, Blake Wood relies on the sinker. When he gets ground balls, he's much more effective, and he could come out 95, 96 mile an hour on his fastball.
Georgia native, played at Georgia Tech, gets a ground ball to Cayaspo, who fields it perfectly. 1 out. You know, as you look at Blake Wood, and a lot of times you see those minor league guys come up, and there might be some history with younger players on the other team, but at least out of the gate here, Rios, Konerko, KCA, 3 veterans that will have definitely not seen him at all except for on video.
Well, you haven't seen him, but you got a veteran guy behind the plate that has, so you rely on him. Just let him lead you around. Got to be a confidence builder for him, getting the first man out.
And the other thing is those first couple of batters he faced the other night, amped up pretty good 3-0 counts. He was able to get out of that inning and had a double play and ended up just facing 3, but you can see a little bit more control so far.
Well, and 16 pitches in that inning, so it didn't start out all that sharp, but by the time it was over, not a bad inning. Not clean, but not bad.
Well, I talked with him. He said he was flew all day. He was in and out of airports all day, and he said he really didn't have a chance to get excited because they said, Woods, you're up next.
Well, he got here right about at game time. Said he ate a couple of granola bars out in the bullpen for his meal and didn't have a chance to do that, but he's got 2 quick outs. And, you know, guys, speaking of the minor leagues as well, and Royals, you see his numbers with them, 2-1, 2.16. He came up. Josh Roop was designated for assignment, and the Royals were hoping that maybe he would stay in the organization. He didn't have to, but Roop accepting that assignment today and joining the Royals out west right now, I believe in Las Vegas.
Not a bad spring training trip, Las Vegas. No, I'm sorry, AAA trip.
It's not a bad anything trip.
That's not a great travel league right now.
No. When we were in the American Association, it was just totally in the Midwest, and it was great. When you go to Omaha on the West Coast, that's some serious travel.
Yeah, you got some travel.
A lot of 5 o'clock wake-up calls.
And it seems like anytime somebody gets called up or recalled to the big leagues, the Royals will be somewhere out east, and the Royals will be in Tacoma. And they're not flying charter flights. Mark KCA takes a walk, first walk for Blake Wood, and so with 2 outs, not what he wanted, and he'll have to face Alexei Ramirez now. KCA's been on all game long, a pair of walks and 2 hits. I'll mention we had 28,000 plus yesterday. Tonight, 27,816. So another great attendance night here at Kauffman Stadium, and now a little bit of winning maybe, and that'll pick up.
A little bit of winning, a little bit better weather than what we've had the first part of May, and it gets some momentum as you head into summer.
Oh, you know how it was, Paul. Those first 35, 40 games in the East every year, and you just couldn't wait to get into June and get that warm weather behind you. And we just seem to play a lot better. So let's go 500. Let's stay around 500. And then when you get in the 45th game or so, it's hot, and everything picks up for you.
Joe Burke was our general manager. He is also on the scheduling committee, and we couldn't figure out why we were on the East Coast cold. But if you looked at it, in June, July, and August, we had all the big-name teams coming in here, and that helped our attendance. And it probably helped us win because we had a great atmosphere, and it probably helped us in the middle of the season.
Well, I agree with that.
There aren't a lot of baseball players that like cold.
Well,
there are a lot of fans cold, but pitchers every now and then, and especially pitchers that grew up in Chicago and Minnesota. Blake Wood gets the strikeout. We're going to let Split go to Boulevard Royals Live. We'll see him in a bit. We're back after this. atmosphere out there and a lot to talk about as Jose Guillen maybe breaking out of a slump. He gets going against Mark Burley. The Royals with a 7th sense tonight as the 7th inning where they have struggled all year. A good one for them tonight. Fox Hot Watch results, reactions from Ned Yost's first post-game news conference as a Royals manager, highlights, and much more coming up on Boulevard Royals Live. Frank, Royals looking for a 2-game winning streak, and Jose Guillen now looking for a hit in his 3rd straight at bat.
Well, he's overdue, and you know, he's just one of those guys, Joel, that he'll be cold for a while, and before you know it, he can carry you for a while.
He grounds out there. You know, you guys were talking about the weather before as Split has made his way out to rivals. J.J. Putz has made his way onto the mound for Ozzie Guillen. And, you know, Jose's a guy that hasn't always done all that well in April because he doesn't like that cold weather. But this year, even with the cold weather, it was a little bit more mild. He had a great April and then kind of cooled off here in May.
Well, I think that you hit it right on the head when you said the weather was quite mild. We had great weather on the road. And
Minnesota in April.
Minnesota.
Who would have known?
Toronto. I mean, we just in the dome, you know, Tampa in the dome. So we just had good weather all the way around. It wasn't your typical April.
The dome weather is always pretty good.
That's 72.
72 every day. Alberto Callaspo, part of that big 7th inning. He had a hit and scored in the inning. 6 hits in that inning, 5 runs, and a game where the Royals were unable to do anything against Mark Burley. Then they break through on the Uniesky Betancourt home run in the 6th and open it up in the 7th.
Nice short swing. Doesn't try to do too much.
Like that?
Like that.
Alberto Callaspo with his 2nd hit of the game.
He does something a lot of hitters don't do, Joel. It's like an old school thing here. The ball's down, and he doesn't swing over it. Watch how he dropped that back knee. He goes down and digs his ball out and puts the bat on it. And you see him on the high fastball, he makes an adjustment. Watch his backside. See how he dips that back knee? And he doesn't swing over this ball. He goes down and takes a bad hit to the ball.
Callaspo's average now up to .310 on the season and really settled in at 3rd base. And, of course, you know that he can hit. And maybe he's heating up, and you hesitate to say heating up because he always seems like he's just consistent. You know, I mean, he's always getting his hits. He's one of those kind of guys. But he was 5 for 12 with a couple of doubles and a home run in that Cleveland series. Mitch Meyer has to be happy with the results that he has had in this game, Frank. He was out the first couple of times, including a pop-up in the 6th inning to lead off that inning, but he came back with a huge 2 RBI single last inning and has played some great defense as well.
Well, he's making the most of his opportunity, and he's doing, you know, what I've always said, when you don't play every day and you get a chance, you make the decisions that really pertain to you. You make them hard for the management to make.
Uniesky Betancourt is the one that jump-started the offense today by just getting something against Mark Burley, who was looking as efficient as you ever see him and looking, at least early on, like no-hitter. And you don't usually throw that out 4th or 5th inning with a lot of guys, but a guy that has the history, no-hitter, perfect game, he was having one of those kind of nights until Betancourt got the home run. That didn't break up the no-hitter, but it gave the Royals their first run.
But it just one of those things, Joel, where he had everything going his way and then gets to the 7th inning and all of a sudden he loses it.
Chopper to Alexi Ramirez. He's going to step on second base. That ends it. A scoreless inning for the Royals there, but they're on top 6-1. moment. There were a lot of good moments on the field, but hey, this was a night for the ladies. Yes, some of the pampering, chocolate, and some baseball as well. Girls' night out at the K, a successful event, raising some money as well for Susan G. Komen for the Cure. And on top of all that, having a good time as they are seeing, for the moment, a Royals lead in the game, and Blake Wood hoping for a nice, uneventful ninth inning. Mark Teahan is stepping in right now at 0-3. Tough return to Kauffman Stadium, Frank, for him, and always a fan favorite and certainly a favorite of ours as well, but 0-3 on the night and a costly error as well.
Well, that's true, Joel. And Mark does so much he did so much for the community when he was here, and the Royals fans still love him for that. And he always has the fashion show in the off season, and always one of those guys that every time you see him, he's got a smile on his face. And now he's in a different arena, 3-year contract with a team that expects to win. The accountability is a little higher, and so when you get a 3-year contract, the expectations obviously go up, especially when you're there to play every day.
You know what he noticed, I'm assuming, pretty quickly in Chicago? You're not playing well, like right out of the gate, you're going to hear some boos.
Well, it's that old thing. You're not in Kansas anymore.
I've heard that one a few times. Jason Kendall, nice play to get Teahan, an 0-for-4 night for Mark Teahan, and Jason Kendall pouncing on that one quickly, as we have seen him do all year long.
Well, he's fundamentally sound, Joel, and I mean, he has a good feel for everything he wants to do. This ball bounces out in front of the plate, he's off, and he does a great job of filling this ball with his bare hand, getting his shoulder turn, and giving Billy Butler a nice strike to first base.
Blake Wood, 2 more outs to go for him to close out. Not a save situation, but the first chance for him in the major leagues to pitch multiple innings. The former starter maybe easing in a little bit after getting his feet wet the other night against Cleveland.
Well, every outing and every bit of success he has right now, Joe, builds confidence.
Mike Aviles takes care of Gordon Beckham, and we are down to the final out, and this crowd of 27,816 will get on their feet and cheer as Ned Yost looking for his first win as the manager of the Kansas City Royals. Gets the first pitch strike there. Ned Yost hinting that it's still early in the season. Look at what Colorado did last year. Yes, they're 11 games under 500. Start climbing and believe that you can do it. And he really believes that they have more talent here than what they did have in Milwaukee when he took over for a team that had 106 losses.
Well, that's saying a lot when you look at the kind of talent they had in Milwaukee. But I think the belief that things are going to turn around and that you do have a lot of games left, I think that is accurate. And it's all about just getting out there and doing things fundamentally well on a regular basis. And he's admitted that, hey, you're going to make your mistakes. But the key is to learn from those mistakes and to get better. And I think that's an accurate statement. 55-year-old
manager with now his second opportunity to manage in the big leagues. And now when he said they didn't have a lot of talent out of the gate in Milwaukee, he didn't mean when he left, where now you started seeing the emergence of Prince Fielder and some of those big boys. He meant at the beginning, as those guys were just starting to come up to the big leagues. Vizquel's going to drop that ball in, and it is caught by Scott McSednick. Royals win it. Ned Yost, his first win as manager of the Kansas City Royals. 6-1 is the final. Frank White will be back after this to break it down.